I could stand here and talk about how bad we were as a team, but I think that would be doing a disservice to Darvel, to be honest. I think Darvel thoroughly deserved a victory tonight. We weren't at it for whatever reason. Very flat at times, lacked creativity and cutting edge in the final third. And Darvel got their noses in front and defended for their lives and deserved to go through.
Can you survive this? Have you had assurances that your job's safe?
No, nobody's got assurances from anybody. I think as a manager, especially a manager of the club of the size of Aberdeen, you need to win games of football. And our form since the return from the World Cup break hasn't been good enough. And tonight is an extremely difficult result for me to take, and a really poor performance that lacked any urgency and any creativity at the top end of the pitch. And we'll need to do a bit of assessing later on, and we'll speak to who we need to speak to tomorrow, and we'll have our meeting with the players, and we'll try and make sure that we come out fighting for the game at Easter Road. As simple as.
Manager Jim Goodwin talking to the press last night. The stats are just as damning. Aberdeen have now lost 7 from the last 9 games in all competitions. Aberdeen have now lost 12 games all season and have only managed to win 1 game since the World Cup. Darvel are the first non-league side to beat a top-flight team in the Scottish Cup for the first time since 1966. And Aberdeen mustered only 3 shots on target in the 90 minutes with 12 off target. The newspapers are just as damning. The Evening Express, this was on their cover, the most shameful result in our history. The fans are incredulous. The Press and Journal, under pressure, Aberdeen boss Jim Goodwin set for crisis talks with his team today. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Ali Beg AB TV this Tuesday night on what has been the darkest of 24 hours. In the year that we celebrate the 40th anniversary of our greatest ever victory, it will now also be remembered for our worst ever defeat. And that is a stain on our club. Emotions have shifted since the full-time whistle last night. I watched that game, like you, with a sense of bewilderment. Never have I seen an Aberdeen performance like that. We have hit rock bottom. We are not progressing as a football club. I've used the terminology before and I'll use it again. We are sleepwalking. Today, my emotions have gone from bewilderment, bafflement, shock, to now anger. And I am quite safe in the knowledge that I am not the only one out there who is feeling that way. I would like you to have your say tonight. Like I have done for the past couple of shows, I am opening the floor to you to have your say. All you have to do is leave comments on YouTube. But please, if you can, to help me with the YouTube platform, try not to use bad language if you can. And please be very careful about how you comment. I'd be very grateful for that, please. I am going to read out most of your comments this evening. Let's go through a few bits and pieces to set it up. The Darvel manager last night, his clear instructions from the sideline was in complete contrast to what our manager was doing. Our manager stood there with his arms folded. His body language was one of dejection, not knowing what to do next. He picked the wrong team for a start. Where was Graham Shinney? He is a leader. He's a natural leader on the football pitch, and the only player who I think can take a game by the scruff of the neck. He knows what it is like at that level to play at Scottish football. He's come up through playing Scottish football. He knows what it's about. He could have taken that game by the scruff of the neck. He could have led that team on. Yet, he was nowhere to be seen. Why? Jim brought on a young lad who's been injured for 6 months. Why? I just don't get it. There was so much wrong with the selection last night. Why did the manager not come out and speak to the in-club TV channel, Red TV? I've worked in club television. I understand how it works. The club have, to a degree, editorial control over what goes out on Red TV. So the questions that have to be asked need to be carefully thought out. And Rob McLean is a professional and has been a professional for many, many years and would have known exactly how to ask what would have been very difficult questions, but he was not given that opportunity. I don't understand for the life of me why I didn't see it. I may have missed it, and if I have missed it and I'm speaking out of turn, you have my apologies, but I can't see it. The fans, particularly those fans who travelled, nearly 800 fans that travelled, deserved an explanation to why we played like that last night and why we were not able to beat a junior football team, why we did not have enough in the tank to beat a junior football team, who I have to say I congratulate, because they got it spot on. They wanted it from the opening kickoff, and I'm sure you will agree that they were the better team on the night. I texted my brother 15 minutes in and said, we're going to lose this game tonight. I could see it coming. They had more desire. They had more fight. They wanted it more. And that is totally unacceptable from our players. I will also go on to say that I believe that there is so much wrong with the mentality and the cohesion of the team that I believe that Jim has lost the capacity to now manage the football team. And I believe that started from the Celtic game. I don't understand why we have still not heard from the football club. I don't know anything. There are a lot of rumours going around. I don't particularly deal with rumours. I prefer to deal with facts because I don't like Chinese whispers, and I think it can be quite harmful. So I genuinely have no idea what is going on at that football club right now. But what I hope for is that there is some sort of meetings going on to determine the future of the manager. For me, who quite simply has to go. I am not usually one for coming out and saying such things, but after last night and after the way we performed and after the way we set up and after witnessing what I watched, he has to go. It's as simple as that. It is the worst defeat in our history, and that's enough to let the manager go. What I will also say is I believe going forward, the club needs to appoint a chief executive officer. And I believe that we should be looking at Alan Burrows, who used to be at Motherwell, who did an absolutely phenomenal job at that football club. We need somebody in there looking after the day-to-day operations of that football club, a football-minded chief executive officer who knows the crux of Scottish football, who can guide, who can lead. Because at the moment, we are lacking leadership. And today I'm angry. I'm really, really angry. And if I have been disrespectful in any way, you have my apologies. But it has to be said, and I needed to get it off my chest. So get in touch. Let's open it up to you. Okay. Bear with me. There's nearly 500 of you on tonight. It's astonishing. Goodness me. Okay. Okay, so many of you are commenting about how angry you are already. I can see it, I can sense it, I can feel it. Safety Blitz has come on and thinks that we will already lose the game against Hibs at the weekend. They will be rubbing their hands. Lennox and Eddie's channel, I think it is, standing by that awful central defensive partnership and an insistence playing McCroy out of position will ultimately cost Jim his job. I agree. This is the problem with the recruitment. We all know what the issues are. The lack of recruitment in certain positions has forced us to play players out of position, and you have seen what happens. The club is embarrassing with its silence, says Score. Brian Smith, thought I was going to wake up this morning and find Bobby Ewing in the shower and that Aberdeen had thrashed Darvel 7-0. Oh, Brian, those were the days. Fraser Gunn, good evening, Fraser. So many players need a serious look in the mirror. I agree. It's a collective. That's what it's all about. It is a collective, but the manager takes responsibility for what goes on in that dressing room. He's got to get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. It's clearly not happening. Gregor Stevens has asked, why wasn't Shinnie playing last night? That's my first question. I completely agree. Why wasn't he in the team? Ian Bruce, where does the buck stop? Players, coaching staff, manager, or the board? It's a collective. Paul Donaldson, the offside goal that was chopped off is no excuse. I completely agree. We cannot rely on VAR. Absolutely not. Denise 1394, for whatever reason, we didn't perform. Surely, Jim, you should know this. Yep. Transmission GGB. Dave Cormack has got us here. He changed too much too soon and had no plan on how to build on the consistency that we had under Derek McInnes. Michael Scott, I think relegation might not be a bad thing. Best chance of a complete clear out and reset. Sorry, Michael, I disagree. Relegation is unthinkable. Erica Mitchell, a total disgrace after last night. We're an embarrassment to Scottish football. I've no sympathy for the team or manager. We got what we deserved. We did, and that's a sad thing. Gregor Stevens has gone on to say that Dave Cormack needs to employ a CEO and let him run the show. Needs a new director of football too. Malcolm Park has gone on to say, why have we heard absolutely nothing from anyone within the club? Not good enough. Protests incoming. David Anderson has said, who next for the manager's position? Neil Lennon, Darren Ferguson, or a young, ambitious European manager with no feelings towards the old firm? Bill Geddes has asked, why has Jim not gone by now? Transmission GGB has just written bleep, 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 and more bleeps. I'm so glad that most of you can keep a sense of humour in what is a dark, dark day. Gregor Stevens has gone on to say, Lennon, no. Paul Lambert, no. David Martindale, no. Paul Simmers has gone, yeah, shocking, there's been nothing said from the club today. Lee Doubles has come on. Hi Lee, how are you? I feel sad and disillusioned with the demise of our great club. Absolutely gutted at the performance and result. Been a step downward trajectory for a long time. Stephen Cole, the silence from the club today is a disgrace. Jim Goodwin looked lost. Doug Smart, disgraceful that nothing has been said by the club today, one way or another. David Anderson has gone on to talk about Graham Shinnie. Where was he? Stuart Cleary has said, good evening, Stuart. Total embarrassment, worst result in our club's history. As I've already said to you, why is he still there after last week when he should have walked? Do you know, there is an argument to that if the board had been brave enough, they could have looked at letting him go last week after that awful performance against Hearts, which would have allowed us to reset for the game last night, but they didn't, did they? Alan McDonald has said the responsibility lies with the board as well as the playing staff. They selected Stephen and Jim. They scouted the players. The silence is deafening. Mick Mackey has said a very arrogant initial team selection. We needed to stamp on them immediately. No positive mental attitude. Yeah, I cannot disagree. Ryan Shand has said, sorry Ali, but Jim has to go. There's no cohesion within the team. There's no communication, and Goodwin and the squad, and especially Stewart to be captain, is an absolute joke. He cannot carry a team. Do you know what I found quite interesting last night? A few people got in touch with me today. And this is not, I'm not having a pop at Anthony Stewart. Anything but. I'm just putting it out there for discussion because I think it was quite interesting. So, obviously, you're very close up to the pitch. You can hear a lot of what's being said and what's going on. And a lot of people commented to me last night that there was nothing coming from the skipper. Very quiet. Now, maybe that is the type of skipper that he is. Maybe he's not a shouter and a screamer and a swearer and all that sort of stuff. If that's the type of captain he is, then so be it. But last night, we needed leadership. We really did. And there was an incident with just a few minutes to go where there was a throw-in, and he had the ball and he was holding the ball and he was waiting for someone to come and take the throw-in, and Stevie Cowan on co-commentary just shouted, just take it yourself. Waiting to take that throw-in cost us nearly, from what I can gather, nearly a minute to take a throw-in. Unbelievable. Elliot Aiken has said, you're not holding back, Ali. Yeah, I agree with everything you've said so far. It's been going wrong for Jim Goodwin since day one. Mistake after mistake, all his own doing, a horrendous appointment. Graham Finlay has said, worldwide embarrassment. Blame Jim as much as Dave Cormack. I just fear the decline of our club. Alan Tasker has said the club has totally disrespected the fans today after that shameful performance last night with the social media no-show today. Mark Cowie has asked, what on earth does Lee Sharp bring to our touchline when Jim did finally have a chat with someone, as per it was our goalkeeping coach, who last night was also a substitute? Yeah, again, just baffling. Kev McIntosh, I'm not really sure what the hell can be done. We change manager, it's going to cost us more money. Does this lower the quality of manager we can expect in? Has anyone ever recovered from a start this bad? You see, again, it's a catch. You could argue it's a catch-22 because he's going to have to be paid off. He'll have to have his contract paid up, and then we have to then look for a new manager if that is the route we're going down. I don't know. So, yeah. It's all very messy, huh? Ian Stevenson, 1903, says, why the delay? Surely he's gone with no more chances. Lorraine Baxter has commented by saying there is so much wrong at the club at present from the board down. Ian Bruce has said, look at some of the players who have been loaned out or sold on lately. They must be looking on at results and questioning why have we went. Malcolm Park, as we go up the chain, can anyone answer how Stephen Gunn ended up with the director of football role? No football background at all. Nice guy, but he's no director of football. Fraser Gunn has said, out the names kicking around, I would go for Neil Lennon until the end of the season, would give dressing room a shake and hold players accountable. Gregor Stevens has said, Grampian TV, Scottish television, outside Cormac Park waiting for a car crash. Crafton Campbell has come on and said, we are back to pre-McInnes times. Derek rebuilt the club before he left, and the structure and professionalism that he installed into the club have been ripped, which has to be the chairman's fault. Lindsay, the thing is, Ali, I wasn't shocked at all. I expected to get more from the semi than that one, and saw this coming as soon as the draw was made. The feeling I have is apathy, and that is worse. Interesting point from Kevin McIntosh. Dave Cormack needs help and advice from an old football head. He needs guidance. I honestly think he wants the best for AFC, but he doesn't know how to do it. God knows what's happened with the manager. Listen, I agree with that. Dave does want the best for our football club. 100% he does. Yeah, he does. He does. But there's stuff that I agree he needs to take advice on. Hayden Ritchie. Surely the minimum should have been a statement from the club regarding the management's tenure, back or sack. It's a sack for me for weeks. David Pirry has asked why he didn't start strong, then made changes, when we were comfortable. Again, I agree, because last night was, we all know it was a potential banana skin. Sorry for using an old football terminology. But it was. And we needed to get a grip of that game from the off, and we didn't. We absolutely didn't. They did. And it gave them the belief and the desire and the confidence to go at us. And their manager could see that. As I said at the top of the show, he drove them on from the sidelines. He kept at them. And I applaud him for that. So, yeah, the team was wrong. It really was. Guys, thank you for coming on tonight. I'm absolutely blown away by how many of you are on. Boy, it's been a tough day, eh? And I know... Do you know what I can't get my head around? And I know that so many of you who have been to work today, and this is where it hurts, is that you've had to go to work today. And for those who are not fans of the football club, will no doubt have had great fun. Mocking and just making fun. And what I can't get my head around people on social media. So I posted last night about the first half, and it's all fans of one club that come on. And these are grown men. And I was intrigued today, so I had a look at a couple of the profiles. And one of them was a managing director of a very prominent company in Glasgow. A managing director, go figure, who mocked me on social media today. So I whenever that happens, I block people immediately. But these are grown men with families, with kids. What sort of example is that to set to your children when you are behaving like a child yourself? I just can't get my head round it. I really can't. It baffles me. Let's keep going at your comments. A lot of people talking about Neil Lennon. It's really interesting how many of you are talking about Neil Lennon. I must admit, I will openly admit, I fancied Neil Lennon about 3 years ago. I thought he could do a job for us. I think he's the type of character that we needed in our dressing room at that time, and we were just starting to go a bit stale. You know, he's not afraid of a fight. I don't mean physical. He's not afraid to put his body on the line for his football club. But I'm just not sure he'd be right for us now. But some of you are suggesting that he could be an interim manager until a new manager has been identified. I'm just not sure how that would work. Okay. John Bleasdale. Hi, John. How are you doing? Jim's position is untenable, but so are others who have overseen this awful recruitment program that's left us alarmingly short in defence. It is alarming. It's a good word, John. It is alarming. Frank Lampard is available. Said Safety Blitz 73. Julie McKenzie has said, thanks for doing this, Ali. You are articulating exactly what many of us are feeling. I've never witnessed such an abysmal performance from Aberdeen. The hurt and anger is real. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that comment. Adam Carlin. Hi, Adam. How are you doing? I've been trying to get in touch with you. I'll try and drop you an email in the next couple of days, mate. I am overall not a sack the manager sort of supporter. I'm one of those who still believes that we should never have sacked Derek McInnes. However, this is not about a single result. It's a pattern. Yeah, you make a very good point. It is a pattern, and that pattern has slowly been getting worse since the World Cup. So why is it gone so bad since the World Cup? And as I alluded to at the top of the show, I think it began from the Celtic game. And I think that instilled into the players a mentality that they believed, that the manager thought that maybe they're not good enough. And that can be very hurtful for professional football players. John Grant has said, absolutely shocking. Jim Goodwin doesn't seem to be able to change things when plan A goes wrong. We are in free fall and are in a relegation battle as we're only 9 points off 11th place. Michael Robertson has said, I'm not sugarcoating this. A lot of the players have all played within the Football League and many were full-time. I can't believe that he left out certain players. Sorry guys, just bear with me while I go through this. Fraser Gunn agrees with my thoughts on Alan Burrows. He's an absolute no-brainer. Yeah, Gregor Stevens has made a very interesting point about Alan Burrows. According to reports, he walked away due to stress. Would he come here? Yeah, it's a very good point, mate. Okay. David Bowen makes an interesting point. My fear is that the new stadium development and disposal of Pittodrie is clouding the task in hand of running a football club. 5 years from now, I'd be astounded if Aberdeen were in the SPFL. Gary Robertson is lost for words. Robbie Hanratty has come on. Hi Robbie, how you doing, mate? He said that he would take Alan Burrows or Leanne Dempster, who's at Queen's Park. It's a good shout. Adam Carlin has come back to say, poor away form, some shocking losses, Dundee United, Hearts, and now this. The setup against Celtic, which just let them play football around the edge of our own area until they scored. Ian Brewster said, I can't see Neil Lennon being put in charge. Seen Paul Lambert mentioned in the odds as favourite. Would Scott Brown come back, or would we rather have someone with a Don's connection and more experience? Honestly, I have no idea. I usually have answers for this, but I just don't know. That's where this whole bewilderment at the moment is going on in my head. Just struggling to get my head around it all. Sorry if I'm shaking, because my studio is absolutely freezing. We've had snow for days here, and the temperature's dropped way down, and I don't have any sort of heating in here, and it's absolutely freezing. So I'm sorry if I'm shaking. Alan McIntyre has suggested that Jim should have been sacked a long time ago. Kenny McPherson. Kenny McPherson says Jim can't remain in post, but the issue runs deeper than him. Recruitment has been woeful for more than this season. Just look at the signing of Jet, etc. last season. It's shameful. Okay, how are we doing? Right, so guys, we've done half an hour. If you don't mind, I'm going to call it a night. I am very grateful for so many of you who have come on tonight. There are so many. It's just, you've blown me away. I think in the next, because we've not heard anything today, I fully expect something to happen in the next 24 hours. Let's put it that way. These things, I'm just playing devil's advocate, so just bear with me. I think these things take time. It probably needed 24 hours to sort out what was going on, but I do think the club should have come out and communicated. Transparency was a word the chairman used right back at the beginning. So be transparent. It's what the fans deserve. It's particularly what those fans travel to Darvel deserve, because explanations are needed and required. So, right guys, I'm going to call it a night. I will see you again on Saturday morning, excuse me, for the preview show against Hibs. Excuse me. And I'm hoping to get a Gothenburg legend on that day. So that is something to look forward to. And it's going to be a very interesting couple of days. Let's see what pans out. But we've hit rock bottom. And when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go. And that's up. So let's hope we do. Sooner rather than later. Guys, have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again for coming on. It's fantastic to see you all. And I'll see you soon. Take care, please. Bye for now.